Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to explore how a decision that feels, honestly, almost embarrassingly small can build an absolutely extraordinary financial future. We spend a ton of time looking for shortcuts, right? The perfect stock or that massive windfall that's just going to magically secure our retirement. But today we're looking at the math and the psychology of a completely different approach. We're going to map out a 40-year journey based entirely on one tiny, unremarkable habit. So we're starting with this deceptively tiny amount, $100. We aren't talking about some $10,000 inheritance here. We're not talking about a massive year-end bonus that just happened to arrive at exactly the right time. No, this is just $100 a month. Literally the pocket change that disappears over a weekend without you even noticing. It's the money you spend on things you can't even remember by Monday. It feels way too small to actually matter, yet somehow always a little too tight to spare. But listen, this is exactly where the machine begins.
Section 1. The first $100. Building the muscle of consistency.
All right, let's see how this builds right from day one. You make the decision, you set up the automatic transfer, pick a basic index fund, and boom, you drop right into the part nobody really talks about. Why? Well, because early on, investing is just a painfully boring habit. Month one, the market dips a little, and your $100 is suddenly worth $99.70. You might check it 3 times before bed, but nothing happens. By month 6, your balance is $578. It's not life-changing for sure. It's not a number you're going to brag about at parties. Over the first 12 months, the machine just accepts your transfers quietly. You put in $1,200 and your balance sits at $1,312. You've made a whopping $112 in returns. But here is the vital lesson. You survived an entire year without that $100, proving it was never actually load-bearing in your budget to begin with. So the absolutely crucial point here is that your real victory in year one is not the $112 you gained. Actually, you could have made that just working an afternoon of overtime. The real victory is that specific, repeated decision to prioritize your future over, say, a dinner out 12 times in a row. The foundation of wealth isn't the return on investment in the beginning. The foundation is the repetition. Section 2. Surviving the market drop when the market tests your habit. Okay, so as you cross into year 2, your balance hits around $3,100 by month 26. The numbers are starting to carry a little weight now, and this brilliantly illustrates a major psychological transition. See, there are basically 2 types of investors out there. There's the one who checks their account from fear, always monitoring for disaster, just ready to panic. And then there's the one who checks from curiosity, watching for growth. Because you've been putting in the reps, you transition to that second group. But right as you get comfortable, the inevitable happens. The market tests you. Bam! A 14% drop. Over the course of 11 weeks, the market takes a dive, evaporating $380 from your carefully built balance. You definitely feel it in your gut. But here is exactly where the habit saves you. Your automated schedule? It doesn't negotiate with the market. You don't sell in a panic. Instead, you just keep transferring that $100, which, by the way, is now buying shares at significantly cheaper prices. And when the market eventually recovers, those cheaper shares compound quietly right in your favor. Section 3. A shift in identity. The proof that the machine works. Let's fast forward to year 5 and see how this looks on paper. Assuming an average historical return of about 10%, your total contributions of $6,000 have now grown to a balance of $8,200. You now have $2,200 more than you actually put in. Now, is $8,200 retirement money? No. Is it a down payment on a house? Still no. But it is absolute proof that the machine works if you feed it. And honestly, more importantly, you've proved that you are the kind of person who feeds the machine. Your whole relationship with money has fundamentally changed. You no longer react, you observe. And right here is where you realize who your true partner is in this journey: time. Time is literally the only investor who never misses a contribution, never panics, and never sells at the bottom. As that gap between your contributions and your balance widens, those returns start to feel way less like a tiny little bonus and much more like a second contributor, working diligently right alongside you. Section 4. The tipping point. When your money starts making money. Accelerating into year 10, let's say you're about 34 years old now, your contributions sit at $12,000, but your account balance is approximately $20,500. Your money has compounded beautifully. You're up $8,500. And notice what you didn't do here. You didn't take on a second job, you didn't start some grueling side hustle, and you definitely didn't sacrifice the things that make your life yours. You just kept up that quiet habit. Now the math is rapidly shifting. Because of your existing balance, in an average year, the market is now generating the equivalent of $140 a month. Think about that for a second. The machine is officially outpacing your own effort. The returns are literally putting in more money than you are. This is the exact moment the separation between you and all those people still waiting for the quote-unquote perfect time to invest visibly widens.
Section 5. The exponential explosion, becoming a passenger to the machine. Okay, so by the time you hit year 20, say age 44, you've contributed $24,000, but your account balance has absolutely soared to approximately $76,000. The gap between what you contributed and what you actually have is now more than double your total investment. You have $52,000 in pure unearned growth. And the crazy part? All of this was achieved without timing the market, without picking the perfect hot stock, and without needing a massive salary. This brilliantly illustrates the sheer power of acceleration. Remember year 1? The market gave you a measly $112 over 12 whole months. Now, in year 20, your account is returning roughly $7,000 annually. You're only depositing $1,200 a year, but the machine is just dropping $7,000 right on top of it. You have effectively become a passenger to your own wealth creation. It's incredible.
Let's look at how this builds in the final chapters of this journey as time just takes over completely. By year 30, around age 54, your $36,000 in total contributions has turned into $227,000. That means your pocket change is generating nearly $1,900 a month in growth. That's practically approaching a full-time income for some folks. And by year 40, age 64, the scale is just absolutely staggering. Just $48,000 deposited over a lifetime results in a balance of $637,000. To put that into perspective, out of that massive $637,000 balance, $589,000 is purely unearned wealth. It wasn't won in a lottery, it wasn't earned at some grueling job. It was grown entirely by time, consistency, and your flat-out refusal to stop through 48,000 small, quiet monthly decisions. Every single Tuesday transfer that nobody ever congratulated you for, it's stacked up to create an absolute fortune.
Section 6. Time does not wait. The cost of the perfect time. Notice the stark contrast between these two mentalities here. The person who starts with small and consistent arrives at age 64 with a fortune and a permanent relationship with discipline. But then you have the other mentality, large and eventual. This is the trap most people fall into, right? Waiting for the bigger paycheck, the inheritance, that perfect moment when it finally makes sense to start. But that person arrives with empty intentions, a savings account that probably kept getting raided, and an irreplaceable loss of time. Because time doesn't wait for the right amount. It just runs on whatever you give it. Knowing that the smallest right decision, repeated endlessly, becomes an extraordinary life, we are left with a vital question. Will you start the machine today, or are you going to keep waiting for large and eventual? Seriously, what are you going to do with your next $100?